I sat at the long dining table, the air filled with chatter and clinking glasses. My son, Henry, sat across from me, laughing too loudly at some joke his friends told. I leaned forward, forcing a smile. "Henry," I said gently, "could you please pass me the bread?" He glanced at me, then spread. "Really? You couldn't reach it yourself?" A couple of his friends chuckled. My chest tightened, but I kept my voice calm. "It's closer to you, that's all." Henry leaned back, folding his arms. "You're always asking for something. Can't you do anything without me?" The table went quiet. Toby, my cousin, shifted uncomfortably beside me. "Henry, come on. It's just bread." But Henry wasn't finished. He picked up the basket, held it in the air like it weighed a ton. "There you go, Mother! The mighty bread. Do you feel helpless without me?" Laughter broke out around him. My cheeks burned. I reached for the basket, but his hand pulled back. Just slightly. My fingers grazed it. Then he slammed it on the table so hard the plates rattled. "Oops," he said, grinning. "Guess you'll survive." I whispered, "Why are you doing this?" He leaned closer, eyes glinting. "Because it's fun watching you squirm." The words sliced through me. I could feel every pair of eyes on me, waiting to see what I'd do. My hand shook as I placed them in my lap, willing myself not to cry. Toby broke the silence. "Henry, that's enough. Show some respect." Henry rolled his eyes. "Respect? For what? She nags me like a child. Maybe she should be treated like one?" Gasps fluttered around the table. My lips parted, but no words came. All I could do was stare at the son I had raised, the boy I had once cradled, now mocking me in front of everyone. Then it happened. He reached for his glass of water, lifted it with deliberate slowness, and without hesitation, threw it across the table. Cold liquid splashed across my face, dripping down my chin, soaking into my blouse. The entire room went still. Knives froze mid-air. Conversations died. Even the background music seemed to fade. I wiped at my face with trembling fingers. My vision blurred with water and tears. Henry leaned back in his chair, a victorious smile spreading across his face. "Now you look refreshed," he said. Toby shot to his feet. "Are you out of your mind, Henry?" His voice thundered through the silence. "She's your mother." But Henry only shrugged. "So she's embarrassing? Maybe now she'll stop acting like she matters." The words echoed in my skull. Stop acting like I mattered. My heart clenched so tight I thought it might burst. Toby turned to me, his hand on my shoulder. "Come on, don't sit here and take this." I looked at him, then at the stunned faces around the table, relatives, friends, strangers, all of them staring at me, not at Henry. No one else spoke. No one else defended me. I pushed back my chair. The scrape of wood against tile was deafening. "Enjoy your dinner," I whispered, my voice breaking. "Mother," Henry began, but I didn't wait to hear the rest. I walked away, each step heavier than the last. My clothes clung to me, damp and cold. Behind me, the murmurs started again, voices buzzing like a hive, but I didn't look back. Outside, the night air hit me like ice. I wrapped my arms around myself and kept walking until the sound of laughter was just a memory. That night, I sat alone in my room, staring at the ceiling. The image replayed over and over, the smirk on Henry's face, the water running down my cheeks, the silence of everyone else. I whispered into the dark, my own son. Toby knocked gently at my door and stepped in. Are you all right? I shook my head. He hates me. No, Toby said firmly, sitting on the edge of the bed. He doesn't hate you. He's lost himself. Power, money, pride, they changed him. Did you see his eyes? I asked. He enjoyed it. He wanted me to hurt. Toby's jaw tightened. I saw it, and I wanted to drag him out of that chair myself. I turned toward him, tears sliding freely now. What did I do wrong? How did he become this? You didn't do this, Toby said. He did. Don't blame yourself. Silence stretched between us. My hands clenched the blanket, knuckles white. Finally, I whispered, I can't go on like this. Something has to change. Toby met my eyes. What are you going to do? I didn't answer right away. My mind swirled with shame, grief, and something else I couldn't yet name. I don't know, I admitted, but I can't stay in his shadow anymore. Not after tonight. Toby nodded slowly, his face grim. Then this is the start. Whatever you decide, I'll stand with you. When he left, I lay in the dark, my pillow damp with tears. The echo of Henry's laughter rang in my ears, louder than my own heartbeat. I closed my eyes, and the memory of the water hitting my face burned like fire. This is the breaking point, I whispered to myself. Something has to change. Asterisk, the morning sun poured through the curtains, but the light felt harsh against my swollen eyes. I found Henry in the kitchen, whistling as he poured himself coffee. Henry? I said softly, about last night. He didn't even look at me. What about it? You humiliated me in front of everyone. You threw water in my face. Finally. He turned, smirking. You're still upset about that. It was just a joke. Don't be so dramatic. My throat tightened. A joke? I was drenched in front of family and strangers. Do you understand how that felt? He sipped his coffee lazily. You're making it bigger than it was. People laughed. You should learn to laugh at yourself. The casual cruelty in his voice cut deeper than the water had. I clenched my hands, forcing myself to breathe. I'm your mother, Henry shrugged. Exactly, which means you should toughen up instead of whining. Before I could reply, the door creaked open. Rhodey, our old family friend, stepped in carrying a small bag of groceries. His eyes darted between us. Everything all right here? I swallowed hard. No, Rhodey. It isn't. Henry rolled his eyes. Don't drag him into this. He doesn't need to hear your complaints. But Rhodey set the groceries down and faced Henry. Actually, I do need to hear this. I saw what happened last night. You think you're clever, Henry, but that was shameful. Henry laughed, a short, sharp sound. Shameful. Come on, Rhodey. You're overreacting to... Everyone's acting like I committed a crime. You disrespected your own mother, Rhodey said firmly. Money and pride have made you arrogant, Henry. You don't even see it. Henry slammed his mug on the counter. Oh, so now you're lecturing me to maybe you should mind your business. Henry, I whispered, please stop. But he stormed past us, muttering under his breath. The slam of his bedroom door echoed through the house. Rhodey sighed, rubbing his forehead. He's worse than I thought. Do you know what people were whispering after you left the dinner? They said he's been bragging, flaunting his wealth, acting untouchable. I looked down at the floor. He wasn't always like this. I don't know when I lost him. You didn't lose him, Rhodey said gently. He lost himself. Ah. Quiet shuffle came from the hallway. Sam, my nephew, stood there, hesitant. His face was pale, his eyes troubled. Aunt, I heard what Henry said last night, and I've heard him before. My heart sank. What do you mean, say? He bit his lip. He talks about you when you're not around, calls you weak, says you're only good for pity. He laughs about controlling you. I felt my stomach twist. He says that. Sam nodded. I didn't want to tell you, but you should know. He isn't just careless. He's cruel. Rhodey placed a hand on my shoulder. See? It's not just one mistake. This is a pattern, and if you don't do something, it will only get worse. I pressed a hand to my chest, trying to steady the ache inside. I thought last night was just an outburst, but this is who he is now. Sam whispered, I'm sorry, Auntie. I forced a small smile for him. Don't apologize. Thank you for telling me the truth. The sound of footsteps returned. Henry reappeared, looking smug, as though he hadn't just left in anger. What are you all whispering about now? Plotting against me. No one's plotting, I said, voice shaking. We're trying to understand why you treat me this way, Henry chuckled. Because you're too sensitive, always playing the victim. Honestly, it's exhausting. My breath caught. Exhausting. After everything I've done for you, you find me exhausting. Exactly, he said coldly. You should be grateful I even let you stay here. Don't twist it into something else. Rhodey glared at him. Do you hear yourself, Henry? That's your mother. Henry waved a dismissive hand. She's overdramatic. She'll get over it. She always does? Something inside me cracked at those words. Always does. He thought I'd keep forgiving, keep enduring. I whispered, not this time. Henry raised an eyebrow. What was that? I shook my head quickly. Nothing. He smirked again, as if he'd won, then sauntered back to his room. The silence that followed was unbearable. Rhodey spoke first. You can't ignore this anymore. He doesn't respect you. He doesn't even see you as a person. Tears burned in my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. I see that now. Last night was not a mistake. It was the truth showing itself. Sam touched my arm gently. We'll stand by you, Auntie, whatever you decide. I looked at both of them, my heart torn between grief and the faintest flicker of resolve. For the first time, I allowed myself to admit it. My son wasn't just lost, he had chosen this path, and if I didn't change something, I would drown in the disrespect he poured over me. I sat at the dining table, bills spread out in front of me, my hands trembling, numbers that didn't add up, withdrawals I never made. Toby, I whispered into the phone. I think something's wrong with my savings. He hesitated. What do you mean, wrong? Money's missing. Thousands. I didn't touch it. There was silence. Then his voice dropped. I didn't want to tell you like this, but Henry's been bragging at the bar last week. He laughed about using your money, said you'd never notice. My breath caught. My money? He stole from me. He called it his right. He said you owed him everything. The words stabbed deeper than any knife. I pressed my palm against my forehead. I gave him everything already. My years, my life, my love, and still Toby's tone hardened. You need to confront him. Don't let him walk all over you. I hung up, my heart racing, and called out, Henry, come here. Few minutes later, he appeared, phone in hand, smirk plastered on his face. What now? I held up the papers. Explain these withdrawals. My savings are nearly gone. He shrugged. Relax. I just borrowed a little. I'll pay it back. My voice shook. Borrowed. Henry, that money was for emergencies. You didn't even ask me. He laughed. Why would I need to ask? You live under my roof. What's yours is mine. I stared at him, stunned. That's not true. I worked for that money that was supposed to keep me safe. His eyes narrowed. Safe from what? You're nothing without me? You should be grateful I let you stay here instead of complaining about a few dollars. I slammed my hand on the table. You emptied accounts I saved for decades. His face twisted with annoyance. You're being dramatic. Again, this is why nobody takes you seriously. Always whining, always acting like the victim. Tears burned in my eyes. I am your mother, Henry. I sacrificed for you. I raised you alone. And this is how you repay me. He leaned closer, his voice low and venomous. Stay in your place. You hear me? Stop pretending you matter in this house. The words hit harder than the water he'd thrown days before. I felt the room spin around me. Stay in my place. Exactly, he sneered. You should thank me instead of attacking me. Without me, you'd be nothing. Remember that? I staggered back, clutching the edge of the chair. You've become a stranger. I don't even recognize you. He chuckled cruelly. Maybe that's your problem. Not mine. I couldn't bear another second. I fled to my room, slamming the door behind me, collapsing onto the bed. My chest heaved with sobs, rage mixing with grief. My own son, the boy I once carried in my arms, had turned into this monster. Hours passed before I heard a knock. It's Toby, a voice whispered through the door. I opened it, wiping my eyes. He stepped in quietly. What happened? He told me to stay in my place? He said I'm nothing without him? My voice broke. Toby's jaw clenched. That boy? He's drunk on arrogance. He doesn't see you as his mother anymore. He sees you as property. I can't believe it, I whispered. I can't believe I raised this. You didn't raise this. He chose this path. Toby sat beside me. But you don't have to let him drag you down with him. I stared at the floor. What choice do I have? He controls everything. The house, the money, even my dignity. Toby leaned closer. Not everything. You still have a mind. You still have a will. And you still have his carelessness. I frowned. Carelessness. He nodded. He brags too much. He leaves trails. You said he's been using your accounts recklessly. Maybe you should see just how reckless. The thought planted itself like a seed in my chest. I whispered, You mean look through his accounts? Why not? Toby said. If he's using what's yours, you have the right to know how far it goes. I hesitated, guilt twisting inside me. That would feel like spying. He's still my son. Your son stole from you, Toby said firmly. You deserve the truth. That night, when the house fell silent, I crept into Henry's study. His laptop sat open, his arrogance leaving it unguarded. My fingers trembled as I searched through files, statements, transactions. Each click confirmed my worst fears. Huge withdrawals, reckless spending, luxury items, gambling debts, and my name tied to accounts I never touched. I covered my mouth to stifle a cry. Dear God, how could he? Scrolling further, I saw the bragging notes he'd written for himself, lists of what he owned, what he controlled, even mocking lines about how easy it was to take from me. My heart pounded, rage surged through my grief. He thinks I'm his fool. He thinks I'll never fight back. For the first time in years, I felt a sharp clarity cut through the fog of pain. He had stripped me of dignity, of respect, of trust, but he had also handed me the weapon of his own carelessness. I closed the laptop, whispering into the darkness, You told me to stay in my place. Henry? But you forgot I decide where my place is. Asterisk, I sat in the kitchen long after midnight, the silence heavy around me. My hands shook as I dialed Rhodey's number. Dottie picked up on the second ring. It's late. What's wrong? I can't take this anymore, I whispered. Henry's stealing from me. He mocks me, humiliates me. I feel like I don't exist. Rhodey's sigh was heavy. I warned you years ago. Power spoiled him. Money made him blind. I've been looking at his accounts. I admitted he's reckless, careless. I could take it back. Take it back. Rhodey's tone sharpened. Do you know the risks? If he finds out he already treats me like dirt, I cut in. What more can he do? He can ruin you, Rhodey said firmly. Think carefully. Revenge tastes sweet at first, but poisons the heart later. I'm not asking for revenge, I muttered. I'm asking for survival. Before Rhodey could answer, I heard a voice behind me. You should do it. I spun around. Sam stood in the doorway, eyes dark, fists clenched. He deserves it, my nephew said. Sam Hamash, did you hear? I stammered. Enough. He stepped closer. I've heard what Henry says about you when you're not around. He calls you pathetic, a burden. He brags that you'll never leave because you're too weak. My stomach twisted. He really says that all the time. Sam said bitterly. He laughs about it, says you're his toy. I covered my mouth, shaking. My own son. Sam's voice was sharp. That's why you have to do it. Take his money. Show him he's not untouchable. Sam, Rhodey, cut in from the phone, his voice tense. Don't push her into this. It's dangerous. She needs peace, not war. Peace, Sam scoffed. Where's the peace in being humiliated every day? Where's the peace in losing everything she worked for? I squeezed my temples. Stop, please. I can't think. The line went quiet for a moment. Then Rhodey spoke softly. I just don't want you to lose yourself in this. You're not like him. Sam's jaw was set. She won't lose herself. She'll finally get her dignity back. I hung up the call, unable to take Rhodey's warnings any longer. My chest ached. I don't know what to do. Talk to Toby, Sam urged. He'll know how. He always does. The next morning, I found Toby fixing the fence outside. Can we talk? I asked quietly. He glanced at me, concern in his eyes. Of course. What's wrong? I swallowed hard. I need to know if there's a way to access the funds Henry tied to my name years ago. He put accounts under me for tax reasons. Is there a legal way to reach them? Toby's brow furrowed. Why? Because he's stolen everything from me, I said, my voice breaking. He threw water in my face, mocked me in front of everyone, emptied my savings, and now he says I'm nothing without him. Toby, I can't live like this anymore. He stared at me for a long time. You're serious, aren't you? I nodded, dead serious. Toby set down his tools, his tone steady. If those accounts are in your name, then legally they're yours. He may have funded them, but he used your identity that gives you the right to access them. My hands trembled, so I could take everything. You could, Toby confirmed. But once you do, there's no going back. Henry will see it as betrayal. Betrayal. I almost laughed, bitter and hollow, after everything he's done to me. After the insults, the theft, the humiliation. If anyone betrayed anyone, it was him. Toby placed a hand on my shoulder. Then you need to decide, are you ready to leave him behind? Because this isn't just about money. This is about walking away forever. My throat tightened. He's my son, and you're his mother, Toby said gently. But that didn't stop him from hurting you. Don't let blood blind you to truth. I turned away, tears burning my eyes. How do I even start? I'll help you, Toby said. We'll check the documents, the accounts, quietly. No one has to know until it's done. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Guilt clawed at me. Was I really about to steal from my own child? Then Henry's voice echoed in my mind. Stay in your place. You're nothing without me. I clenched my fists. No, I whispered into the dark. I'm not nothing. I won't be his victim anymore. Images of the past few weeks rushed back, water dripping from my face, laughter at my expense, numbers vanishing from my savings, his smirk as he called me worthless. Each memory hardened me. This isn't revenge, I told myself. This is survival. The plan was forming piece by piece. Rhodey's warnings still rang in my head, but Sam's words echoed louder. Show him he's not untouchable. I closed my eyes, exhaling slowly. Henry, you made me choose this. And soon, you'll know what it feels like to lose everything. I couldn't believe it was happening again. The restaurant was crowded with Henry's friends, laughter echoing around the walls, glasses clinking. I sat quietly, hoping he would behave. Mom, bring me the wine. He barked across the table. I hesitated, then reached over. Henry, you've had enough already. Shut up, he yelled, slamming his hand on the table. Why are you even here? You're worthless. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. My chest tightened, my vision blurred. I looked around. His friends chuckled, exchanging glances, clearly enjoying the scene. My face burned. I whispered under my breath, worthless. Toby's hand touched my arm. Ignore him, he muttered. Don't let him see you break. I can't, I admitted. He's gone too far this time. One of Henry's friends, Samir, laughed. Man, your mom is pathetic. She brings you food, serves you like a maid, and you still call her worthless. Henry smirked. I'm honest. She's weak. That's why I can run all over her. I felt a surge of anger, heat rising in my chest. My hands shook, but it wasn't fear. It was resolve. This was the last straw. Toby leaned closer. You've planned this. Now's the time. You don't have to take it anymore. I nodded subtly, pretending to adjust my scarf. You're right, I whispered. Henry's laughter pierced my ears. Mom, bring the dessert. And don't spill it this time. Last time, you were so clumsy, I almost cried laughing. I stood abruptly. I've been clumsy. My voice was calm, but each word was deliberate. You think I'm weak? You think I don't see everything? The table went silent for a moment. Henry's friends stared, unsure if this was part of the act. What are you talking about? Henry Sonido, you've humiliated me, stolen from me, and mocked me in front of everyone for the last time, I said, taking a deep breath. Do you know how it feels to watch someone you raised treat you like this? Henry laughed, thinking I was joking. Come on, Mom. Stop being dramatic. Dramatic. I repeated, my voice steady. Let's see how dramatic this really is. I excused myself, moving toward the restroom. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from the clarity of what I was about to do. Each step I took felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Inside the restroom, I pulled out my phone and Toby's instructions came back to me. Log in, transfer, withdraw, all under legal means. No illegal activity, just taking what had always been mine. I tapped the screen, my fingers trembling, my breath shallow. First account, checked. Transfer initiated. The numbers moved. Slowly. At first, then faster. Thousands, then tens of thousands. My pulse raced. This is it, I whispered. This is my life back. I moved to the next account, silently chanting in my mind for every insult, every slap to my dignity, every mocking laugh. The final confirmation clicked. Money transferred, accounts emptied. I leaned against the sink, shaking, tears streaming down my face. Relief, grief, anger, and a strange exhilaration collided inside me. "I can't believe I did it," I murmured. Toby's voice echoed in my memory. "Now leave, quietly, before he even knows." I exited the restroom, hands shaking, and returned to the table. Henry was still laughing with his friends, unaware. I felt a bitter smile, unaware. For now, that night, I packed quietly. Clothes, documents, every item a symbol of my new beginning. Each fold of fabric reminded me of years I had sacrificed for someone who would never value me. Rhodey called. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, worry in his voice. "I have to be," I replied firmly. "He made this choice. I'm only responding." "Be safe," he said softly. "And remember, you're not alone in spirit. I boarded the flight before dawn." The cabin was dim, passengers half asleep, unaware of my flight, not just from the country, but from the chains Henry had wrapped around me. I looked out the window as the city lights faded. My chest ached with a strange combination of grief and liberation. "I did it," I whispered to myself. I really did it. The sky brightened, casting a pale glow on my hands. I clutched a piece of paper I had written the night before, and my tears blurred the ink. You threw water in my face, but you poured fire on my heart. Now you'll live without me. I folded it carefully and left it on my pillow. No yelling, no confrontation, just silent justice. Toby's words echoed in my mind again. "This isn't revenge. This is survival." I pressed my forehead against the window, watching the clouds drift past. The hum of the engines became a lullaby. I could almost feel the weight lifting from my shoulders, the chains of humiliation, of abusive disrespect. Yet, even in this liberation, a shadow lingered. Guilt whispered, "He's your son. You've taken everything." But I shook it away. He took my dignity first. He left me no choice. Hours passed. The plane soared above oceans, leaving behind familiar landscapes and toxic memories. My chest felt lighter with each passing mile. I imagined Henry waking up, checking accounts, discovering what had been done. My heart didn't gloat, it simply acknowledged. The tables had turned. Freedom was terrifying. Freedom was exhilarating. Freedom was mine. I rested my head against the cool glass, closing my eyes. Thoughts of shame, grief, fear, and newfound strength tangled together, forming a knot that finally felt like closure. When the plane touched foreign soil, I stepped forward, trembling slightly but with a resolute heart. I was leaving behind not just a country, but a chapter of betrayal, pain, and humiliation. Outside the airport, I inhaled deeply, air thick with possibility. My future stretched before me, uncertain but mine. I whispered to the wind, "I'm done being your victim, Henry. This life, this freedom, it's mine now." Asterisk the first morning in my new home. Sunlight spilled through the curtains, and I realized I could breathe without the weight of humiliation pressing on my chest. I ran my fingers over the small, neat furniture I had chosen, each piece a symbol of a fresh start. "This is really it," I whispered to myself, voice trembling. "A life I can finally call mine." Rhodey's call came later that afternoon. "Hello," I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. Good to hear from you, he said, warmth in his tone. How's the new place? It's peaceful, I admitted. I didn't know peace could feel this heavy. Rhodey chuckled softly. You mean it's real? You earned it. I smiled faintly. Real, yes. But I can't stop thinking about Henry, about what I did. Did I go too far? Too far. Rhodey's voice was firm. You left a man who treated you like dirt. You didn't steal his dignity. He gave that away freely. I closed my eyes. I know. And yet, my throat tightened. I keep imagining him waking up, realizing his money is gone. The pride. He clung to, shattered the friends he thought loyal, abandoning him. Rhodey sighed. That's karma at work. He made the rules. You just enforced them silently. I don't feel victorious, I whispered. I feel empty. He's suffering. Yes, but I can't shake this guilt. He's my son, after all. And he's exactly the son you raised, Rhodey countered gently. You tried? You sacrificed. You endured. He chose cruelty. He's learning a lesson. That's not your guilt, it's his awakening. I let out a long breath, staring out at the garden I had planted the day before. Tiny flowers pushed through the soil, stubborn and alive. It's strange, I murmured. I've never felt so free, yet so guilty. Can freedom really hurt this much? It can, Rhodey said. Freedom always comes with consequences. But trust me, this is what you needed, what you deserved. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. I thought leaving would make everything simple. But now, every smile I force feels like a reminder of the life I abandoned. And every thought of Henry, a shadow in my mind. You're carrying shadows that aren't yours, Rhodey said softly. Let them go. Build yourself. That's what he forced you to do, learn to survive without him. I looked around the small kitchen I had decorated myself, feeling a flutter of pride. I've never done anything this alone. Every decision, every step, it's all mine. No approval needed, no humiliation waiting, just me. And that's beautiful, Rhodey said warmly. It took courage to get here. Now, nurture it. Courage, I repeated. I keep thinking about how I planned everything so quietly. Toby helped me, and Sam encouraged me. But in the end, it was my choice, my decision. And now, I paused. I can breathe. You deserve to breathe, Rhodey said. And soon, you'll sleep peacefully, too. No reminders of the past. No whispers of humiliation. Just life on your terms. I closed my eyes, letting the warmth of the sun and the weight of his words sink in. I never imagined it could feel like this. Relief, fear, sadness, freedom, all tangled together. You're allowed to feel everything, Rhodey said. That's what makes it real. Don't rush healing. Let it come at its own pace. I nodded silently. I suppose I'll start with small steps. Gardening, cooking, reading, simple things. Things that remind me I'm still alive, that I can rebuild. And Henry, Rhodey asked. I swallowed. I don't know. Part of me wants to check on him, see if he understands what he lost. But another part knows I can't go back. That lesson was his to learn, not mine to enforce. Exactly, Rhodey said. You taught him in the hardest way possible, but you don't need to watch him suffer. He'll figure it out. You've done your part. I let out a long breath, feeling the tension in my shoulders loosen. It's hard not to think about the chaos I left behind. The phone calls, the arguments, the faces of people who once laughed at me or with him. But here, I can start over. Truly start over. That's all you need, Rhodey said. Start over. Reclaim your life. The rest, let it unfold on its own. I smiled faintly, a genuine smile for the first time in years. You're right. I've been waiting for a moment like this. And now I have it. I can finally live for me, not for someone who never respected me. Exactly, Rhodey said. And remember, every day you live freely, every step you take toward your peace is a victory over the past. Don't forget that. I won't, I whispered. I promise I won't. As I hung up the phone, I looked out at the tiny garden again. Flowers swayed in the breeze, resilient and alive. I let myself smile fully this time, letting the guilt and fear slowly fade. Freedom was mine. I had escaped the humiliation, the manipulation, the betrayal, and though my heart still carried a faint ache for what I had lost, I finally understood something profound. Survival wasn't about leaving behind everything, it was about reclaiming everything I was always meant to be. I poured myself a cup of tea, savoring the warmth and the quiet. For the first time in years, I felt the calm certainty that life could be beautiful again, that Henry's absence, though painful, had opened the door to my own presence, my own power, and my own peace, and I would never let go of it again. Day started quietly, with sunlight filtering through the curtains, but my phone rang almost immediately. I knew it would be Rhodey, Toby, or Sam. Whoever it was, I felt a mix of anticipation and dread. Hello, I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. It's Toby, came the familiar voice. Are you sitting down? I laughed softly, nervous. I'm sitting. What happened? Henry. Toby hesitated. He's completely abandoned his friends, his business partners, even people he thought he could trust. Gone. He's realizing what he lost. I felt a shiver crawl down my spine. Relief, satisfaction, guilt. The emotions tangled in a storm. Gone, every one of them, I asked, voice barely above a whisper. Every single one, Toby confirmed, and his arrogance. It's backfired. Debts are piling up, deals collapsed. The life he flaunted is crumbling. I put my hand to my mouth. I wanted to cry, but the tears were not sweet. They were heavy, full of grief for what our relationship had become. I can't believe it, I whispered. My son, my own son, Toby said gently. It's not your fault. He made these choices. You just stopped carrying him. I closed my eyes, remembering the years of smiles I had forced, the patience I had stretched beyond limits. I had loved him fiercely, and he had repaid me with mockery, arrogance, and cruelty. I thought I would feel vindicated, but instead I feel emptier than I expected. Emptier is normal, Toby said softly. You carried the weight of his pride and cruelty for too long. Now it's gone, and you're left with yourself. That's what takes time to accept. I nodded slowly, hearing the truth in his words. Sam, did you know this? I asked, thinking of my quiet nephew. Yes, Sam's voice came over. The line, calm and steady. I saw the signs, the way people distanced themselves from him. I wanted to tell you sooner, but I knew you needed to heal first. I let out a shaky laugh. Healing first. Easier said than done. Every story I hear about him, every failure, it pierces my heart. Not because I wish him harm, but because he's my son. And yet, I can't feel sorrow for him the way I used to. You don't need to, Sam said gently. He chose this path. You just stopped carrying him. I closed my eyes, letting his words sink in. It's strange, I murmured. I carried him through every mistake, every foolish decision. I shielded him from consequences. And now I have to watch as he faces them alone. I feel relief, yet the grief is still here. That's normal, Toby reminded me. The love you feel doesn't disappear overnight. It just shifts. You can let go of the guilt. He made these choices. I wiped my tears away, feeling a mix of sorrow and strange clarity. I remember when I first planned to leave, I couldn't have imagined how much weight I was carrying. And now, seeing the results, I realize I didn't ruin him. He did this to himself. You helped him learn the hardest lesson, Sam said. He won't forget it, and you won't have to carry him anymore. I let the silence stretch, listening to the wind outside my window. The city felt calmer here, farther away from the chaos I had left behind. Yet every update, every call from Toby or Rhodey reminded me of the consequences that had unfolded back home. Do you think he'll understand? I asked quietly. Really understand? Toby sighed gently. Understanding comes in stages. He'll face the reality of his actions, probably slowly and painfully. But eventually, yes, he'll realize what he lost. I swallowed, feeling my throat tighten. I wish I could have taught him differently, without all the pain, without the humiliation. But I suppose that's the lesson he needed, not the one I wanted to give. You did what was necessary, Sam said firmly. Sometimes lessons have to be hard for people who refuse to listen. I nodded, looking at my hands resting on the table. I keep thinking about how I left, how I emptied his accounts, and how quiet it was. No confrontation, no shouting, just action. And yet, every time I hear about the chaos, I feel responsible and relieved all at once. That's the paradox of letting go, Toby said. You gave yourself freedom, and he got consequences. Both can coexist. You don't have to feel guilty. I know, I whispered. And yet, the grief remains, not for what he lost, but for what our bond became. The son I raised, the man he was supposed to be, gone. It's hard, Sam said softly, but remember, grief is part of healing. Let it exist, but don't let it consume you. You're free now. And that's the important part. I closed my eyes, letting the waves of emotion wash over me. Slowly, clarity emerged from the fog. The love, the pain, the betrayal, they were all pieces of a story that led me here to this fragile piece, I suppose. I have to accept that karma has done what I could not. Yes, Toby said firmly. And now your job is to live fully, freely, without carrying the weight of his choices any longer. I took a deep breath, feeling the tension in my shoulders ease. You're right. I've carried enough. It's time to focus on myself. And you deserve it, Sam added. No one can take that from you. I smiled faintly, letting the tears slide freely this time. Not from joy, not from vindication, but from recognition. Recognition that I had survived, that I had chosen myself when it mattered most. And though Henry's downfall echoed in my mind, it no longer held me hostage. Karma had spoken, and I was finally learning to live, free of guilt and full of cautious hope. I whispered to myself, letting the weight lift slightly. He chose his path. I stopped carrying him, and slowly I will let myself heal. Outside, the world moved on, indifferent yet beautiful. I had survived the storm, and now I could finally start walking toward the calm. The air was salty, the waves crashing gently against the shore. I stood barefoot, toes sinking into the sand, and let the wind carry my thoughts. Months had passed since I left, since I emptied Henry's accounts and disappeared. Every day since had been a lesson in survival, in rebuilding, in reclaiming myself. I whispered aloud, though no one could hear me. I lost my son, but I found myself. The words felt strange, yet liberating. They were a mantra, a declaration. My heart still ached for the son I had raised, the bond we had destroyed, but it was no longer a pain that consumed me. It was a memory, a shadow of the past that reminded me of how far I had come. I bent down and scooped up a handful of sand, letting it slip through my fingers. Everything I carried for him, it's gone now. I don't carry it anymore. Rhodey had called earlier, updating me on Henry. He's alone, Rhodey said gently. Friends have left him. His pride is gone. He's facing the consequences of his arrogance. I had listened quietly, and instead of triumph, a quiet sadness had filled me. It's strange. I had admitted I thought I would feel happy, relief, maybe. But instead, I just feel free. That's your growth, Rhodey replied. You taught him the lesson he needed, but you also gave yourself peace. Yes, I whispered now to the waves. Peace? I turned my gaze to the horizon, the sun glinting off the water, and felt the weight of the past months settle into something manageable. It no longer controlled me. I remembered the nights of planning, the secret transfers, the cold calculations, and the quiet fear of leaving everything behind. And I remembered Toby and Sam, their support, their encouragement. You deserve to be happy, Toby had told me repeatedly. To live without fear, without carrying him. I smiled faintly. I finally understand what that means. A seagull cried overhead, and I laughed softly. It was a sound I hadn't heard from myself in years. I am alive, I said aloud, louder this time. I am free. I am me. I thought of Henry alone, his friends gone, his wealth evaporated, and my heart softened slightly. Not enough to return, not enough to regret, but enough to acknowledge the truth. He chose his path. I chose mine. I kicked at the sand, watching it scatter in the breeze. No more shame, no more guilt, no more carrying burdens that aren't mine. I am done. Sam's words echoed in my mind. He chose this path. You just stopped carrying him. It had taken me months to fully accept, but now it felt true in my bones. I no longer mourned the son I thought I had. I honored the woman I had become. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows on the sand. I felt the warmth on my face and realized I hadn't felt this calm in years. The quiet was no longer lonely, it was restorative. I breathed in deeply, filling my lungs with air that tasted like freedom, and exhaled the remnants of sorrow that had clung to me far too long. I whispered again, letting the waves hear my final declaration. I lost my son, but I found myself. I choose peace over regret. I choose survival over sorrow. One choose me. And in that moment, standing alone on the shore, I felt it the full weight of my own life. The betrayal, the humiliation, the heartbreak they had all led me here, to a place where I could finally stand unshaken, unashamed, and unafraid. Henry's story would end in isolation, a consequence of his choices. My story, however, was just beginning. I turned my back to the waves, feeling the sand beneath my feet and the wind in my hair. Each step forward was a promise to myself, to my growth, to my freedom. I whispered one last time, letting the words drift into the wind. I am no longer the broken mother. I am a woman who knows the price of respect, the power of walking away, and the strength of choosing herself first. And as I walked along the beach, the horizon stretched infinitely ahead, full of possibility. For the first time in years, I smiled, not because of anyone else, not because of revenge or karma, but because of me. I was finally whole.